right, welcome into the Daily Fix with your host, Ron Hughley. Daily Fix is presented by Foolish Club Media for all your needs. Right there in that little box is young Steve Serta. Listen, you can look at the visual right here. You can see Steve's working hard, Jack. That was a big one last night, late game. He had post game with him and Rocky. You should have listened to after every single game. His hair is all over his head. We got trades. We got all kinds of stuff. I think he voted today. That's me. I voted today, but there's a lot going on, and you can see Steve's hair. And I'm sure Steve will say at some point, Steve's tired. That's one of Steve's favorite lines. But he is ready to go, and the Chiefs are ready to go, and we got a lot to get to. First, they're 7-0. We'll discuss that. The only undefeated team. They've won 13 in a row. And with the Ravens and the Bengals losing yesterday, feels pretty good. You look inside the AFC, the Chiefs are in a pretty good spot. The offense now up above 27 points now, 3 straight games. So some good things to talk about. But there's a lot to get to. First thing I want to do, hey, however you're taking us in, YouTube, we love you. Thank you for doing that. Tell others. If you're listening to us on Twitter, X, whatever the hell you call it, we appreciate you doing that from that standpoint as well. What I do need you to do is please head to our YouTube channel, Foolish Club Media. Please like and subscribe. Tell a friend, like and subscribe. If you do not do so, remember you're preventing my 3 children from eating. We are the fastest growing / slowest growing digital platform out there today. So help us out. Not going to hold you long. I think we are sleeping, borderline being disrespectful to somebody just because he's shown to be a bit crazy. And he has been crazy, but I think we're kind of sleeping on him and not being fair. We see so many examples of the greatness of Mahomes. And even though he is not playing great, I think one of the things that we haven't talked about and people don't talk about enough, we got to discuss because it was on full display in the game on Sunday. But let's hit this breaking news here. As you see right here, this has just come in the last 30 minutes or so, maybe not even that long, that the Chiefs are trading a 6th-round pick for how you say this last name? Is it Josh Uche?
Josh Uche, yes.
Who is it? Uche. I want to go Uche. I want to see that Touche. But Josh Uche, I remember he was at Michigan, right? And was a former 2nd-round pick. And it's more of a speed pass rusher here. There's a lot of things that this could mean, right? I know, Serta, right off the bat, the first thing that came to your mind when you saw them go get aggressive and pick up this move, by the way, the trade deadline ends November 5th. The first thing that came to your mind was what?
I'm wondering what this means for Mike Dana, who has missed the last few weeks with the chest injury, and we know what an underrated and significant part of that defensive line he can be. Like, I think we're getting to the point now where you hope Charles Omenihu can return here in the near future. And so I'm wondering if the Chiefs, we saw FAU get a lot of snaps yesterday. We saw George Karlaftis, who has really stepped up the last few weeks and has looked like a significant piece for the Chiefs defensive line. It's like, is Mike Dana going to miss serious time? Like, is this injury more serious than we initially thought with him? Because the Chiefs have kind of played it up like it's not. How
many games has he missed already? I mean, this is what, 2 or 3?
He's missed 3, I think.
Yeah. I mean, we're bordering. We're a week away from IR stint. That's significant time. A month. If he misses a month, I think that's a fair thought, Steve. Like, what's up with Mike Dana and Omenihu? But you hear the deal, Steve. You can't have too many pass rushers. You can't have too many. That's one thing is they don't have. Like, how many guys would you say, sort of, they have from just a speed rush perspective? I don't.
None.
You know what I mean? Because Mike Dana's not that, right? And Charles Omenihu is a tweener, a guy that you can move inside and out. And I mean, George is not a speed guy, although he's got moves. This gives them a legit, like, hey, all right, man, we're coming off the edge, and it cost them a 6th-round pick and not a lot of money. We're coming off the edge. This is a guy that brings a different dimension to what we have. Because right now you saw a lot. Chris Jones to the outside. I'm sure we'll still see him move up and down the line. You saw Karlaftis to the outside. I just think in my mind, this adds a different dimension to what they haven't had, a speed rusher that can come off the edge with speed. And then you have guys like Jimenez who could be inside of him. You have guys like obviously Chris Jones that could be playing on the inside. To me, this just adds a different dimension. And the one thing I love, I ain't gonna lie to you, sir, I thought maybe they may go in a different direction when it comes to trading for somebody. That cornerback position, I thought maybe something that they may be looking at. They got a kid Jones in their secondary. That's a corner that's potentially on the trade block. I thought they may get to, but I do like the thought of, hey, we gotta get better, because they could just sit there and say we got a Minshew coming back, and Dan, even if he does have a peck and it's more long term, I do like them saying let's go and add stuff. Let's go and try to make us better overall.
It's having some technical issues for a second, but I'm back and everything appears to be working still. So I do actually, I know a fair amount about Josh Uche. He's a player, like he's still a young player. And at one point he was looked at as like for New England is kind of like their next big name pass rusher after they signed Matthew Judon a few years ago. And he was a double-digit sack guy for them. And Josh Uche was kind of pictured as like the heir apparent guy who was supposed to take over that role as the Patriots lead pass rusher. And it never really fully manifested for him. And he was a healthy scratch this past week because he had been in significant trade talks. And he's still a young player who has a lot of upside, who I think perfectly fits into what the Chiefs need at that position. Like, yes, they still have some depth there. Like maybe FAU continues to get better. George is really coming on. They're going to add Charles Omenihu back. But this move to me, yes, it means maybe I'm a little worried about Mike Dana moving forward, but it also says that the Chiefs are fully in. Like they know the defense is going to be the reason at the end of the day why they have a chance to play for another Super Bowl. And so I'm happy that, hey, we're being aggressive, and they freed up cap space last week by restructuring Juwan Taylor after the DeAndre Hopkins trade, and they're leaning into the defensive side of the ball. Like he is a player that fits perfectly into what Steve Spagnuolo is going to want to do and the way he's going to try to deploy pressure at these quarterbacks.
You know what? You like to just blow horns on me all the time when I get long-winded, but you're not blowing the horn on yourself. All right, you really got long-winded. There should be a damn horn for you, Serta.
There's no timer for breaking news. All right, this happened 3 minutes before we went live.
So this is due to the breaking news that that you get it. No, I just think it's because you have control of it and you weren't even thinking about it, and you only think about it when I am going. And you like to just come in and interrupt. Everybody sees the smile on your face when you do this. All right, we'll see what else the Chiefs do moving forward, because I do think there are still some issues on this team. All right, yesterday I would argue, I think the Ravens game, even though he had that silly interception, was especially when you talk about the opponent, maybe the best game Mahomes has played this year. Saints was good. I think yesterday was really, really good as well. He had the tough tipped interception. I mean, he is not avoiding any of these bad boys. Like he's not only throwing his bad ones. There are some quarterbacks who are avoiding, just having some good luck. Nah, baby, he ain't missing none of them. He gonna get these picks. He's up to nine interceptions now on the season. But there's so many elements of the greatness of Mahomes, and listen, Steve, I can't remember the last time this team has had good tackles since he's been here. Like, I mean, tackles where you're not concerned, where you're not looking over there, where you're not – I can't remember. I mean, Orlando Brown, he was still somebody that I was concerned in pass pro. Like,
2019 is the answer.
And Eric Fisher, I'm just not going to tell you that I was lock solid with him either, but probably the combination of the right and left tackles were probably the best right then. But since then, like how he had to navigate, obviously, I think he learned a lot from the Tampa game. But Steve, man, the way that man's able to deal with pressure and the way that man is able to find ways to avoid it and continue to have the offense stay on schedule and run and make plays, even though he's not confident in his tackles, and he shouldn't be, especially when he knows Max Crosby is rolling. And hell, Even that one, that one, who was it, number 9, whoever that guy was that their draft pick that they selected from Texas Tech? Whoever that was just, he was just beating the brakes off of Wanya Morris. Wanya had an illegal hands to the face, and he still got a sack on him. He held him multiple times. But it never, ever, one, he makes them look better than they are, Steve, and it never seems to – the only time I can remember thinking the offensive line just absolutely killed them to where they couldn't function was the Tampa Bay Super Bowl. Even with Trey Hendricks going off against them with the Bengals earlier, they still were able to function and replace. A lot of it is him, Serta. His ability to make it work and to know when to move and where to move and avoid pressures from those tackles that are struggling. It's crazy. He did it last week with Bosa. He did it with Max this week. It's just insane how good he is with those struggling tackles to just not allow that to take over the games. It's crazy.
I think really, all the injuries and whatever, I still think that the offensive line struggles is the most concerning thing about this Chiefs team right now, because
the tackles are the absolute weakest part of the team.
And Jawan Taylor didn't even have too bad of a day yesterday against Max Crosby. It was the other side. And the reason it's so concerning is because if this doesn't get better, if they don't figure this out down the stretch, you can navigate that in the regular season and overcome that. But when you get into the postseason and you're playing the best pass rushers in football on a weekly basis, and one side of the line is being totally blown up on a snap by snap basis, that's going to be a problem, and that's going to cost you at some point. They have to get it figured out, whether it's Wanye or Kingsley, or just find a way to get those guys some help, because it's now twice we've seen them when they go up against good pass rush teams, they get absolutely decimated on the outside.
Yeah, but I don't know, Steve. I feel like they've done that the last couple of years. I feel like they've gotten to the playoffs and had shoddy work at the tackle position. Hell, Pat got hurt against the Jags for it. I think it was shoddy. Donovan Smith was shoddy. Jawan was worse last year than he was this year. I don't know that. I think Jawan, as you said, didn't have that bad of a game because I think Pat helps him. It makes him look better. It is just crazy to me what this cat's able to do. All right, finally, Can you give me some? Listen, the Browns go in. I felt like that game was going to be closer than many people thought. The Browns behind Jameis Winston and Kyle and Jameis just, I think he motivated Kyle Hamilton to drop that surefire interception to end the game. Something about Jameis on the other side inspired Kyle to drop it. But They beat the Ravens, and the Ravens now have 3 losses, 2 of which are to the damn Raiders and the Browns. But you knew he was going to give you one. This was Jameis after the game, quoting one of the real great American poets that we've ever confronted or seen, right in line with Mark Twain and Shakespeare and John Cena. Here is Jameis Winston after the big victory over the Ravens.
It's a white boy from Detroit that I really admire named Eminem. He said, "You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity lasts once in a lifetime." And I know I got a quote, Eminem, he from Detroit, he right up the road, but man, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that the Lord provided me with this opportunity. I'm grateful for my teammates, my coaches, and these amazing fans.
Thank you, Jameis, who is an absolute. He is a pleasure and is a treat. There's no way that was off the top of the head. There is no way that he did not practice or plan on this if he got the opportunity to go and quote Eminem, also known as Marshall Mathers. There is no way that was not planned. And I would just say this, Steve. Yes, he is Jameis, and he is that guy, and he is the guy who wore those gold glasses for some reason while talking nearly in tears about Deshaun Watson and the booing. And yes, he's the guy who eats W's. Yes, he's the guy in college who steals crab legs. Yes, he has done a lot of things. But you know what else? I think we are sleeping on his ability, sort to be like the guy like Geno Smith has been, the guy like Baker Mayfield has been, the guy that if he gets another chance that he can turn it around, like a guy that has improved from 30 interceptions with 30 touchdown passes. Because the last several times he has gotten chances, New Orleans and in Cleveland, like he has played well, like we've seen growth. And yesterday, man, he 27 of 41, 334, 3 touchdowns, a dropped interception, but no interceptions, and a quarterback rating over 115. It was clear how much better he was with Deshaun and how much better the offense was. And I think he deserves a chance, and I would not be surprised, sort of, if he is a guy that is in the line of what we've seen lately, guys that can show they've improved from what they initially did when they first got drafted, high draft picks like Geno and Baker. He is a much better football player than the guy they pushed out of the way for Tom Brady in Tampa. He is good. You could see, he is light years better than Deshaun. Light years.
I think what's so encouraging about Jameis, because the knock on him has always been the interceptions and the decision making. Like when you make things complicated for Jameis, he tends to turn the football over at a crazy rate. But I think
that was 5 years ago.
And the Browns have a good coaching staff. Like we saw what they did last year with Joe Flacco coming in for Deshaun Watson. And it just further highlights what a disaster Deshaun Watson has been. Like, I'm excited for Jameis in this offense. I think the Browns can be fun to watch now that they've got Jameis Winston slinging it back there. Like, this should be an interesting team moving forward.
And the thing, sort of, about him that we don't give enough credit to, yes, Jameis is crazy as hell. He really is. I'm sorry, man. That man just started quoted a white boy from Detroit. That's not usually the language you want from your quarterback. But one of the tough things for a leader and a quarterback is, do these dudes like you? These dudes love Jameis. Like his teammates follow him. They went against a kneel down last year in New Orleans. The coach said, let's take a knee. Jameis said, no, let's get a touchdown for Williams. And they all went along with him. Like his teammates love him, and that's a big part of being a quarterback. So Jameis, like I'm telling you, that now the Chiefs play the Browns later. I think Spags will handle him, but it's a different game than when it was Deshaun who's going 11 for 16 for 71 yards and no touchdowns. Hi, Mom and Courtney. I voted today.